of all the awards we talk about, that is my favorite. We're building a team that actually that likes being here, enjoys being together, and that we're ultimately all working together to do a better job for our clients. Welcome to the Live Greater View, a financial planning podcast produced by VLP Financial Advisors that discusses life, money, and perspective. We help clients live their best life at every stage through our VLP Live Greater partnership process. Thank you for tuning in. All right, welcome back. We're at episode 42 of the Live Greater View podcast. So, Chris, this is a great one. We're going to dive into kind of the review of 2025.
We've had a great year. We are so fortunate to be able to help the clients that we do, be able to have the team that we have. And it's going to be a lot of fun to actually look back at everything that we've accomplished.
Yeah, certainly. There was a lot that, when we were putting this together, just writing down like everything that we went through, that the team has done, the growth. We'll talk a little bit about the things that are coming up for 2026, but really exciting. Not only just the market growth, but kind of where the team and where things are heading. I think lots of good stuff.
Yeah, and the origination of our podcast was you and I just saying off the cuff, hey, let's start doing videos. This was back in, what was it, 22?
During COVID.
During the pandemic. Okay, during the pandemic, and we were in the lobby, and just as you'd think, just try to prop up an iPhone and say, hey, let's see where this
goes. With a little O-ring light.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, here we are today with the full-on studio, and we'll get into more of our plans, but it's been great to see, how we've gotten better at some of the conversations that we'll have on air and sharing some of the experiences that we've had in our client meetings. And we've gotten phenomenal feedback from clients. It's just as far as how much they appreciate, what we do. So we're excited to keep it going.
Yeah. And the topics, keep the topics coming. It's great when we can actually incorporate things that's on their mind that we may or may not have touched on before, but it's always a great time to get through. And we have to give a big shout out to our marketing director, Melissa, who actually keeps us on pace, make sure we look good on camera, and has really kind of elevated the entire podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the massive inflection point for us. So Melissa joined us on a part-time basis towards the end of last year, joined us full-time in January, and then from there, it's just been like we've taken off like a rocket ship. So she is behind the scenes for a lot of the stuff that clients see on a daily basis.
It's actually full-time in October of last year. Don't shorter 2 months.
Oops. Sorry, Melissa.
But absolutely. So looking back, let's talk about our podcast achievements.
So this is the second full year that we've actually recorded the podcast. It's hard to believe we're already on episode number 42. When we looked at our YouTube subscribers a handful of years ago, it was below 100. I mean, it was basically
they couldn't even find us.
Yeah, non-existent. Our username wasn't really identifiable, and we were just buried. Now we've grown to over 1,300 subscribers.
Yep.
So that is pretty cool. We're picking up over 100 per month, and we're going to continue to lean into that.
Yeah, and I think a big change of that has been our short form. So we had the opportunity to kind of take snippets of our longer form podcasts and really just dive into maybe a topic that's quick and easy that could be covered in 30 seconds to maybe a minute, a couple minutes. And a couple of those have done really great were the financial scams in the world of AI, retiring in a bear market, and the big beautiful bill, because there was a lot to cover, a lot to unpack, but there was certainly a lot of areas that we could kind of dive into, and the top short being the no taxes on tips and overtime.
Yeah, so pretty cool. So if we think about the financial scams in the world of AI, that video has over 7,000 views. And when I saw that, that came out earlier on in the year. And to me, it was almost like, the uses of ChatGPT and AI, that really had an inflection point early this year where people said, hey, this is, something new. I know that I started using ChatGPT more and more. Clients did. I'm sure, family members did also. So that makes a lot of sense. Retiring in a bear market has over 2,000 views. And then the top short to be near 30,000 views. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And back to the AI, I was just thinking about this today. The AI is making the financial scams so much harder to detect.
Right.
Because they're looking, feeling, so I think that's just, even today I got one and I was like, I do not have a payable from this company, which is just crazy.
Yeah, it's getting more and more sophisticated and voice with AI, that'll be the next iteration. And we talked about that, on our episode. So, we've noticed, obviously, we've had a pickup in initial consultations. We have multiple every week, and we're very fortunate from that respect. Why don't we share some of the new client household numbers that we've been able to bring on for the year?
Yeah, we're up over, I think, over 30, 35 new households at the time of recording and counting. It's been great. Thanks. It's a great time for us to pause and just thank our clients, our partners, and certainly our team for those introductions and referrals, because that is, once again, the best way for us to be able to connect and meet with people and be able to actually help and get in front of them. So again, thanks to their continued trust in us and support. And it's been a busy year. I think this year through August, end of September, we had more initial meetings in 2025 than all of 2024.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And that process of finding us, booking a meeting, us gathering information before that meeting, and then that initial sit down, the client's getting a lot out of it, or prospective clients, I should say, that process I think has gotten much, much better. And now we're really seeing that progress from Google even into ChatGPT. We've had multiple meetings that say, I found you, on ChatGPT. So very cool to see. And obviously kudos to Melissa and what she does behind the scenes. So let's talk about big picture, now that we've shared some of our growth as a firm, just some of the reflections on the year and some of the things that stand out to you when you think back on 2025.
Yeah, it feels like it should be over, to be honest. There's been a lot of stuff with, we clearly had an administration change, the tariff discussion. We had Liberation Day, which caused a lot of concern in the market. And it's really been interesting. This market, now everything's up. But if we looked in February until now, very different. We had parts of the market down significantly, starting to go down, trend down, and we've kind of seen that revert back. We saw international, which has been the leader this year. So there's been a lot of opportunity to kind of take some gains or take stock of things and say, hey, are we overvalued here? Does it make sense to pare back? When do we raise cash and those types of things? But and then we had the big, beautiful bill in July, right? So that was a big, okay, what does this mean for taxes? Because for a lot of clients, this might have an impact. Certainly if you are in the states with higher property tax like Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, California, and also high state income tax. That SALT move from 10 to 40,000 cap is going to move the needle on some of the tax bill. Plus a senior, there's a lot of things to unpack. So there's a lot of legislation. There's a lot of changes, and then on top of that, we have kind of the unknown with what's going to happen with tariffs, what's going to happen with inflation, and then interest rates. Yeah,
and one of the things that stuck out to me when I was looking back is just how quickly things can change.
Yep.
And I think this was a great year to remind us of that. If you recall, coming into the year, the market was near an all-time high. We ran into an all-time high in February. Here comes Liberation Day.
Yeah.
And I think we had 3 days of 3 standard deviation moves, and the market was down 5% each day incrementally. And that's just whoa, the market can fall, out of bed. So that's obviously a reminder of that.
And I forgot, we had the longest government shutdown in history. That just ended.
On top of
all of it.
Compared to everything else that kind of just gets swept under the rug.
Which was really interesting because the market really didn't seem to care.
Yeah.
And then when the government opened up, the market kind of cared again. So I think that's going to be the challenge for the rest of the year, certainly, is getting the data we didn't get for 42 days.
Yeah.
So a lot going on as we kind of look at the end of the year, which also leads to, because we've had strong market returns for the last 3 years, including this year, capital gains are back on the table again.
Yeah, this is definitely a tough year for capital gains because of all the fluctuations that we saw really in the spring that forced managers' hand to need to take some of that money off the table, and now we're seeing that paid out through gains. Why don't we talk about some of the things as a firm and reflect on some of the takeaways for this year. One of the things that I had is just how great our team is getting at finding the right fit for prospective clients. We've had numerous meetings booked off of our podcast or other things that were found through, and I very often find myself in these meetings saying, hey, you know what? Either you're a right fit for me or you're a great fit for somebody else on our team. And I think that we've gotten a lot better at matching personalities.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because now that, we have 9 advisors on staff, and sometimes it might be one of us who does the initial meeting or another advisor, and they come in with a scenario where they are in this category. They worked at this company. They have this scenario, or they're, something in they went to school here, whatever that is. And in that part of that conversation, we're going, you know what, you'd be a great fit for this advisor. And it may not necessarily be us.
Right.
It might be somebody else who's on the team. And I think that's a great thing about growing our team is we are adding those types of personalities and fits where it's not a one size fits all. It's who is the best fit for you and your situation. Where are you in life and what stage you are and who can help you get through to the next stage and where you want to go in retirement. I think we've done we've done a lot of changes here on the leadership team over the last couple of years, and instituting some of our own changes as far as our style. We're running it, on EOS and traction, and that has kind of changed our hiring, which I think has been great. Because we've been able, we had one client service team manager who decided to be a stay-at-home mom. We took our time. We are making sure we're finding the right person who's going to be the right fit for that advisor's clients, who is going to be a long-term, position that not only is going to be a great fit with the clients and the team, but also long-term, how can we help them grow? And we just had our acceptance for our 22nd employee. So we're actually have a new hire going to be starting here in the next few weeks. So very exciting to continue to grow the team, because it's allowing us to give better support and services so we can continue to be as proactive with the client, because that's our ultimate goal, is to be ahead and be in the front.
Right. And I think another differentiator, the more content that we put out there, obviously we do podcasts and videos on specific topics, and it's not just you and I, it's other,
right.
Advisors of the firm. I think that we've done a really good job in just leaning into the genuineness.
Yeah.
That's the feedback that we've gotten from prospective clients that are meeting with multiple firms. They just, really come to us and say, hey, it just feels right that you're genuine, that you're, obviously trying to help me, and you're speaking in everyday language. And I think that by us leaning into that, that's helped us get a lot of traction over the last 6 months.
Yeah, and I think it's been great that, with Melissa, because we have a full-time marketing person, is that the advisors will come in and talk about topics that they know, hone, love, and start different initiatives. Like, Liz started the Women in Wealth Book Club, which has been a huge success.
Yep.
And she's really found a team of people that she can kind of help, and the book club continues to grow. So I think that's been great that we now are, the team is leaning into areas that they really enjoy. That's good. That's personal to them, and that they can continue to help those types of clients.
Right. It's clear the passion is there.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. And, this is really the time of year where we look back and say, well, all these awards that we've gotten, it's awesome, and I know that you had jotted down a couple.
Well, we can start with yours in February.
Yeah.
Top financial advisor,
for investment news. That was very cool. That was a national award, and very grateful to have earned that. So that was one to kick us off.
Yeah, and I think the two biggest one in the Northern Virginia area is we had 4 advisors on the Northern Virginia Top Financial Advisors, and the Washingtonian, which is a big one. Again, these are all great because they're voted by your peers. This isn't us voting; it's other peers voting. Other financial advisors, accountants, other areas who have to go in and say, "Hey, if I were going to choose to work with somebody other than myself, who would it be?"
Right. Who would you actually, turn your own money over to, which is awesome. We just got back from New York City recently. So that was where we were named to the watch list for fastest growing female-led advisory firms in the country. That was a very cool experience to be there with the other top growing firms, in really the whole country. Yeah,
it's pretty cool just to see it, be in a room with that kind of energy. So hopefully we'll be back there next year.
Yeah.
Maybe even win.
Yeah, very, very cool. And those are all, obviously great to win professionally. I would just note that the other one that we take a lot of pride in is the Investment News Top Places to Work Award.
Yeah.
That's an award that we won in 2024. Now we've won it again in 2025. We're of the, mantra that, hey, we really obviously want this to be a great place to work, because ultimately, if you have a happy workforce who feels fulfilled, is passionate about what they're doing, that's going to be a better result for the client, over the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. I think of all the awards we talk about, that is my favorite, because again, it just leads that we're building a team that actually that likes being here, enjoys being together, and that we're ultimately all working together to do a better job for our clients.
Well, let's shift gears past what's been an awesome year for 2025 and talk about what's coming up for 2026.
Well, I think one of the biggest is we're going to be moving our office. So this is something we signed our lease. It's about a year build out. So we are going to be moving over off of Pinnacle Drive, not too far from Tyson's too. So that's going to be exciting. We're pretty excited about this because if clients don't know, we're not all together in the same office. We have offices across the hall where Bruce and Cindy and our podcast room is. So, and when we have everybody in the office, we just don't have enough space.
Yeah, that's something that we're really looking forward to, because now, we try to walk over and, do the best we can to make sure that everybody's together, but it's just hard, physically being in two different, spaces on the same floor. And we're excited to be in the area. So the area is the borough, obviously near Tyson's. It's for our staff and be closer to restaurants and, really nice layouts, and something that we're able to put our own touch on because we are part of the build out.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. So there'll be more details to come. And one of the big things, one of the reasons we chose that is the ability that there is surface parking lot, and then there's also garage parking. So pretty excited about that move. New ways to connect with us.
Yeah, so this is just something that came about a month ago, was us starting our own Instagram account. Obviously that's where the world is going and is continuing to move onto mobile. A lot of the initial meetings that we have are booked off of mobile, so we thought that was a natural extension to keep doing what we're doing on YouTube, bring that over to Instagram, and we've seen a lot of traction there so far. So the handle is really easy, to follow. It's just at VLP Financial Advisors and straightforward there, and you'll see a lot of the same shorts on YouTube, actually on Instagram now.
Yes, we have a few initiatives going to be rolling out in the podcast. One is going to be a new 401k video series. That'll be for business owners and plan participants. So we're really excited about that. Andrew Fincher is going to spearhead that piece. So that'll be exciting, that we'll be able to share with our 401k clients, but also those businesses that are considering, do I need to make a change? What's going on? Are there certain topics that maybe I need a refresher on?
Yeah. And the next one, this is something that we're both really looking forward to. This is your baby, starting
it's my
out
new
in the
baby.
year.
Yeah. So one of the things we, as we've been doing this for a long time, is really kind of making a specific podcast, just the retirement readiness, and really kind of thinking about like the journey from 10 years out. What are all the pieces you need to start thinking about? What's it like at 5 years? What does it look like as a date closes in, and then 5 years and beyond? So really going through the details, what we do with clients, what are the areas we're covering, what are the boxes we need to check, where do we have, are these things in alignment? Do we know where these things are, and those types of things. So really excited about rolling this out, that we'll be start our recording early next, or sometime the next couple weeks, and that will kick off in January.
Yeah, and I would say that's just such a constant theme that we get in our initial meetings. It's, hey, I have all of this money saved, but I'm plus or minus 5 to 10 years from retirement. Now, what do I do? All of these moving parts, tend to kick up around that same time frame. So something that we can add a lot of value to, through our experience. And another piece of that's going to be great is we're going to have handouts and resources that will accompany those podcasts. So something that's different than what we've done in the past. Yeah,
I think it's all about, I actually just had a call with a client who's coming in, they're literally in their like nine-month window of retirement. And this is really going to be geared to like, okay, like we got our checklist, like we've done these things, here we go. And that's what we were kind of walking through. I'm like, all right, like we have these pieces in there, but we know how stressful getting that part when you're that glide path down, going, did I do all the right things? How's this going to work? Because it is kind of scary when you don't have a paycheck. So very excited about how this is going to go. And certainly the handouts, I think, will help kind of help guide that conversation.
Great. So that's on its way in January of 2026.
Yep. All right. So I think that's kind of everything we got looking for next year. Obviously, as we move in our new space, we're excited. We'll be adding a new employee in the next couple of weeks. One of the good things about our new space is we'll be able to continue to grow. So that's on our horizon as we continue to build out the business.
Great.
And help more clients.
Yeah, and just to finish, where we started, we were so grateful to our listeners, to our clients, to all of our connections in the industry, estate planning attorneys, CPAs. They're really obviously what's got us here into this fantastic year that we just unpacked. As always, if you have things that you're talking about during the holidays with friends, family, questions that you think, hey, it'd be helpful to bounce off of VLP, please let us know. That's where a lot of these episodes really get their idea generation from.
Yeah, absolutely. Share your topics. If there's certain conversations that came up, let us know. We'd love to tackle it. And we look forward to rolling out our retirement readiness journey.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Live Greater View. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Spotify and recommend our podcast to family and friends. To learn more about VLP Financial Advisors, please check out our website at vlpfa.com. Thanks again.
And now for our necessary disclosures. Securities and advisor services offered through Cetera Advisor Networks, LLC, member FINRA SIPC, a broker-dealer and registered investment advisor. All investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. There is no assurance that any investment strategy will be successful. The views stated in this podcast are not necessarily the opinion of Cetera Advisor Networks, LLC, and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned. Due to the volatility with the markets mentioned, opinions are subject to change without notice. Information is based on sources believed to be reliable. However, their accuracy or completeness cannot be guaranteed. Past performance does not guarantee future results.